Hi, my name is Jason Evert. I've been able to travel all around the world speaking to high school students, college students, married couples about God's plan for human sexuality. And one of the most influential factors in my life of understanding God's plan for this has been Pope John Paul II's Theology of the Body. Now, you may or may not have heard that term before, but the Diocese of Lansing is going to be offering on April 26th, which is the day before Pope John Paul II's canonization, a retreat day for all people to understand the theology of the body. Now, what is this theology of the body? Well, what that is for the first 4 years or so of Pope John Paul II's pontificate. He actually started in 1979 and went, for about 4 years and talked about 130 Wednesday audiences about God's plan for human love and sexuality. And the basic idea of this is that we're made in the image and likeness of God, and God is love. And we reveal in our own bodies this call to become an image of God's love on earth. And to see how this plays out in the Pope's teachings, he was here in America, and he was speaking to bishops about God's plan, church teaching, and he said God's teaching on human sexuality and the church's teaching, it's difficult to accept. Whether it's divorce and remarriage, annulment, contraception, this is hard. He said the church's teaching is always going to be a sign of contradiction. But he said we need to do our job as bishops to make it attractive to the modern world. And a bishop came up to him afterwards and said, Holy Father, there was one word you said that really stuck with me, attractive. How do we make these difficult things attractive? And he said John Paul II became very deep and quiet, like a philosopher, and recollected on something. And then he said, it is necessary to understand the soul of the woman. He said all these things that have been promised to liberate the woman, contraception, abortion, premarital sex, he said, have they not all enslaved her? But that first sentence from the Pope, it is necessary to understand the soul of the woman. I mean, isn't this what every woman wants at the end of the day? To be known, to be fully understood? Isn't this what every authentic man tries to do, to unravel the mystery of womanhood and femininity? And so if you take the time this April 26th to go to this Theology of the Body retreat day, I guarantee you're going to be blessed. Pope John Paul II's biographer called the Theology of the Body a theological time bomb, expected to go off this millennium with drastic consequences in the history of the church. It is a beautiful, rich teaching. And when John Paul II was Pope, you may not know this, but hundreds of years ago when Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel, there was so much nudity that some of the popes said, this doesn't belong in a church. This belongs in a tavern or a brothel. Cover up all that nudity. So when Michelangelo died, they covered up all the nudes in the Sistine Chapel, or at least many of them. And then hundreds and hundreds of years later, the Sistine Chapel had grown dark with time, with all the dirt and grime stuck to the walls. And John Paul II said, we need to reveal Michelangelo's original design. He had the whole thing cleansed, many of the loincloths removed. And they said, looking at it after John Paul had done this was like looking at after a cataract operation, that you were seeing it in all of its beauty and original glory and design. John Paul II has done the same thing with the church's teachings on human sexuality, that for so many people have been encrusted under these misconceptions and confused notions of what the church teaches, and now we get to see it in the beauty of God's original design. If you want to see what that design is, go to the Diocese of Lansing's website, learn out some details about this retreat that's going to happen on April 26th. Take the time to go, and I know you're going to be blessed. God bless you.